I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we delve into the heart of Adria Cruz Tabor's masterpiece, Love's Rebirth, a Tejana story. This powerful tale transports readers to the tumultuous world of a young woman living in a Texas Mexican town between 1830 and 1850. As she battles to retain her cultural identity and cope with unjust laws of segregation, she must call upon her unwavering spirit and her psychic abilities to overcome the tragedies of her past and find love in a world that threatens to tear her apart. We're delighted to have Adria join us here today on Spotlight, and we ask those watching to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel. Adria, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Well, the pleasure is all mine. Loved your book. It's quite an epic tale. Tell the folks at home a little bit what it's all about.
Well, maybe I should start by telling you how I came to write it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. When I moved to Texas, shortly after I had this odd dream about Texas during the 1830s to 1850s. And it was very interesting because it was from the perspective of the Tejano point of view. The Tejano is the Texans of Mexican ancestry, by the way, in case people don't know.
No, it's good to clear that up. It's unusual to have a dream about that period of time. Do you have any idea what sparked it? Were you reading a book set in that period, or was there a movie or something?
Well, I had just moved to Texas, and I had seen a lot of movies about Texas, but none from the perspective of the Tejanos.
Yeah.
So there wasn't much written about Texas history at that time period from the Tejano point of view. It was all mostly from the English-speaking point of view, the English speakers, which are called Anglos at the time. Well, they were called Texians, not Texans. So the Texians were the Anglos, and the Tejanos were of Mexican ancestry. Anyway, I found out after having the dream, I did some research on Texas history, and I found out that much wasn't written from the Tejano point of view. As a matter of fact, in the 1930s, there were like 3 historical fiction books written from the Tejano point of view, but they were printed, but they weren't really published, not to the general public, until the 1990s.
Wow.
So not much was written in historical fiction. There was a lot of academia, historical archives and things like that, but not to the general public. And I thought, for most people find out about history from historical fiction. Not everybody reads the history books.
Exactly. It makes it a lot more palatable when you make it about a strong character, when you make it about love, when you make it about survival. It's so much more of an interesting way to learn about history when it's put into novel form, I think.
Exactly.
And you really
there were 3 things that I wanted to bring out in my book. One, of course, was the history. The Mexican culture was kind of subservient to the Anglo. A lot of it was just overlooked, and so I wanted to bring that aspect in the history in the book. The other thing I wanted to bring out was in the protagonist. She's has the gift of inner guidance, and so I wanted to have a little bit of a spiritual aspect to it. And her awareness of spiritual awareness, where she comes in to be self-actualized and self-realized and trying to keep her culture. And also the third aspect I wanted to bring up was, the love aspect. which is, part of the title, of course.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of romantic love there, but there's also friendship and family love.
Yeah.
So those were the three main reasons, that I wanted to bring out in the book.
Well, you succeeded. It's a lovely book, and you definitely achieve all three of those goals that you set out to achieve as far as history goes, spirituality goes, the love story goes. I know it was born out of a dream, but what was the writing process like for you? Was there a lot of research? Did it take a lot of time? Tell me about that.
Yeah, actually, the dream, I had it, and I had kept journals on it. Probably 30 years ago. I can't exactly remember, but it was a long time ago. But I never thought about writing a novel.
Mm.
I've always written poetry and things like that, but not a whole novel. But after my husband passed away and COVID came, I found myself with time.
Yeah.
And so over a period of a year, nine months to a year, I wrote the book.
Wonderful.
And I had to do a lot of research and, fill in the blanks between the dreams, because the dream was, just a few scenes here and there, but not the whole story. So, of course, a lot of it is fiction.
Yeah.
And
tell me about the character Ana Dolores Peregrino. Is she based on somebody in part? Because she's a very real character to me.
Yeah, she was real in the dream. I mean, that she was the character in the dreams. There were 3 dreams, and different parts of her life story were given to me in a dream. Wow. So it just came.
Now, do you feel these dreams are kind of like a revelation from God? How do you have any attribution for where these dreams came from?
Not really. I don't. I have a vivid imagination. I just think that they just came from my inner guidance as well.
Right. Right. Wonderful. Wonderful. And as you were putting it down on paper, I'd imagine you felt you were kind of living this experience as well.
When you have dreams, how sometimes you are the character, but sometimes you watch. I was watching. It was like I was on the wall watching this story, a film.
Right. Have you pictured it as a movie? Have you envisioned this one day becoming a screenplay that's, turned into a film or a series?
That's interesting, because I have, but I feel like it's more like it could be more like a series instead of just one, because I don't think you could get the whole meaning of it in one film, not
Absolutely.
in a 2-hour film,
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot of different scenes that to get the full experience, I think it would have to be a series that would be maybe 6 or 8 parts over, an hour each installment. And I think it'd be wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ended up with, I don't know, what were they, 4 marriages and 4 weddings?
Yep.
In the book. I never thought I'd do that, but that's just because the other characters were so strong that I felt like that I had to give a little bit of story of each of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you did a wonderful job with it. Now, has this sparked some kind of writing bug in you? Or are you working on any other novels right now?
Actually, I've been asked to do a sequel. I don't think I have the strength to do it. But I am working on compiling my poetry. Now, when I started writing poetry, it was in Spanish. But later on, when I moved to the United States, and then I started writing in English. So now what I want to do is translate them both ways, the English to Spanish and the Spanish to English, and compile them with a book, and where I have the two it's a bilingual book. Yep. That type of format.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, I know it was all inspired from a dream, so in part you didn't have control, but were you making parallels in any way to what's happening now in America with the issues of Latino immigration?
There are, it's, as always, history repeats itself,
Right.
And yeah, there's a lot of parallels. But what I feel like it's, and what I really made it a point was to make the history accurate. So I had two professors from Texas State University help me. One of them reviewed the whole book. And so that I felt was important, because when you read the book now and then you see the it's hard to understand what's going on with the immigration unless you know the history.
Yeah.
It makes it easier to understand where these feelings are coming, where these people, this was their territory.
Yeah.
So the border is not, it's just an imaginary thing to them. I mean, it's not real, because they have families on both sides.
Right. Right. And who wouldn't come to a land where the climate's a bit cooler, it's more hospitable, there's jobs, there's, it's a definitely a allure to people who are living in poverty to want to come to this country of richness, right?
Exactly. And it's always been like that. A lot of the grants that were given by the Spanish and the Mexicans when they first came were taken away from them for, many reasons, but most of them lost the land because of tax, not being able to pay the taxes once the Anglo government started demanding the taxes, and that's part of what the story's about. Yeah, where she loses her family heritage because she doesn't have anybody to run the farm. I mean, she's a child, 2-year-old baby, just doesn't. Right. So she ends up losing it. And a lot of those grants are now being fought in courts still.
Right.
In Texas courts.
Yeah. Well, you have put a lot out there, a lot to think about, a lot to imagine, a lot to dream. It's a powerful book. It is called Love's Rebirth, a Tejana story. And it is just a wonderful exploration of the Mexican, American, Texan experience during the 1800s. You'll learn a lot. You'll feel a lot. It is a book that is highly recommended. Adria, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
No, thank you, Logan. Very nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you as well. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time. This time, until next time, on Spotlight.